What were you doing at 21 years old? Muhammad Mokaev was making his UFC debut. What's even crazier is that Mokaev is one of the rare MMA athletes with an extensive amateur background, going 23-0. That means he was fighting in his teens. Still, the Dagestani fighter who makes his home in Manchester, England, has a remarkable poise despite being so young. Mokaev has been a massive favorite in every UFC bout, which is a testament to his skill level. Still, he's found himself in some trouble, but has managed to persevere each time. He has not been shy about his championship aspirations. He's a confident fighter who wants to fight the best in the sport. What does the future hold for this promising flyweight? Here is a scouting report for Muhammad Mokaev. As you would expect for a fighter born in Dagestan, Mokaev has the wrestling pedigree which is the basis for his fighting style. But I would say he is much more like Merab than he is Khabib. Khabib will take you down and not let you back up. You can get up against Merab, but he's going to take you down over and over again. This style wears on Mokaev's opponents. You can see it in their face. They get frustrated and begin to lose their confidence. Charles Johnson was taken down 12 times in their fight, and you could tell Johnson knew he had nothing for him. But don't get it twisted, Mokaev is not the lay and pray type if he does manage to hold you down. He looks to advance position and find the finish. It may not always work out, but even the most trigger-happy referee would have a hard time justifying a stand-up in most of his fights. With that said, Mokaev is not averse to striking. His striking can be wild, partly because he's not afraid of his opponent initiating the grappling. In fact, he probably welcomes it. But when he connects, he's shown it can be devastating. Mokaev is some of, if not the best wrestling in the flyweight division. He loves to put on a show and suplex his opponents all over the octagon. And while a takedown is a takedown, you can't help but be impressed by the combination of technique and power that he possesses. In the eyes of the judges, you would imagine that they can't help but score such an impactful style of takedown a bit higher than the guy slowly grinding one out along the fence. But he is not all flash without substance. He is absolutely relentless in his pursuit of takedowns. He never gets tired despite the work rate. This is why he reminds me so much of Merab. If he gets stuffed on a takedown, he's not going to stop trying. But I don't want you to think he's just spamming takedowns. He has excellent timing on his entries. While he seems eager to get finishes and make a name for himself, this style of fighting is great for banking rounds and winning decisions, especially if he starts fighting 5-rounders. His striking is not at the level of his wrestling, which is to be expected. He actually has pretty good distance management to evade strikes. To this point, he hasn't really been rocked. While you would never consider him a striker, he doesn't shy away from it. I wouldn't call it a strength, but it's adequate. The striking is just enough that fighters have to respect it, which means Mokaev can lull his opponents into a perceived striking battle before shooting for a takedown. The one thing with Mokaev on the feet that I don't like is that he tends to turn his back when evading shots. I wouldn't call it a habit, which is why I didn't feature it in the weakness section, but it's something I've seen. Mokaev has been a huge favorite in each UFC bout he's been in. This puts him in a tough position, as he is expected to roll through his competition with ease. For the most part, he's done just that, but one alarming trend is that he does seem to have these brief moments where he leaves openings for his opponents. I don't know if it's a lapse in concentration, or just that he trusts his grappling so much to get out of any situation. This is the perfect time to talk about the Jafel Filho fight. In this fight, Mokaev gets caught in one of the nastiest knee bars you will ever see. He guts it out, and not only does he get out of the submission, he finishes the fight with a submission of his own. Afterwards, he gets up with a noticeable limp, but remarkably he only suffered a partial MCL tear that did not require surgery. Mokaev already competed with a shoulder injury that was reportedly so bad that he could barely put on his own shirt. This begs a philosophical question if Mokaev is too tough for his own good. Should you lose the battle in order to win the war? Should Mokaev have tapped and lived to fight another day, prolonging his body and career? Or does tapping set a precedent for quitting when things get tough in the future? Is this never say die attitude what makes a champion? When you look at a guy like Khabib Nurmagomedov, there's a bit of revisionist history when it comes to his career. There was a time when Khabib was constantly injured and pulling out of fights, which led to a lot of frustration amongst fans. He had one speed and didn't know when to scale back his training. In the end, it worked out, as he retired as an undefeated champion. But there is another version of this story that perhaps doesn't work out so well. I like Mokaev and hope this injury doesn't affect him long term. Mokaev wants to break Jon Jones' record and become the youngest UFC champion of all time. Jon Jones won the title at 23 years and 8 months. Mokaev is already 23 and has a ways to go to climb the rankings in time to beat it. He does like to stay active though, so while it's unlikely, I still wouldn't put it past him if he can stay healthy. His wrestling ability easily puts him in title contention at Flyweight. I would like to see him clean up his striking a bit to bring more of a complete package. He has a scheduled bout against Tim Elliott, who's an awkward opponent, no pun intended, but a guy Mokaev should really have no problem with. There are a lot of fun fights for him at Flyweight. He's gone back and forth a bit with Manel Kape. He's wanted Brandon Royval for a long time, all the way up the list to guys like Moreno and Pantoja. What do you think? Is Mokaev destined to be the youngest champion, or is he in for a rude awakening when he fights the best in the division? Comment below and let us know. I'm Sean from the Octagon Observer, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.